Hey guys, this is Tauno. Today we have some leaked Khans. The rest of the Khans for the clans have been leaked. These were accidentally shown in a video that's meant to be go live tomorrow, I think it is. It's like the video of like the big announcement of, hey, look, Dragonstorm's live, etc. And they posted it up on YouTube and some people found it and kind of screenshotted a few things here, which is really awesome. So these are the remaining Khans from the main set, not from the commander decks, but they likely could fit in there too. Like you could potentially replace the commanders with these. Some of them look really nice. They're not overly pushed, but they look like they could be interesting kind of build arounds. They're all relatively low mana as well, which is really cool. We also got these, which is, oh man, these are amazing. I absolutely love these. I know for some people, they're not going to be their jam, but like if you've got like a Niv Mizzet deck or something, the red and blue one, just go hard. Like these are really, really cool. I'm really happy with them. And yeah, they're just really cool basic lands. So first up, we have Zergo Thunder's Decree. So this is obviously the one from the Mardu clan. It's a new ability, Mobilize. So that is whenever this creature attacks, create X. Tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens. Sacrifice them at the beginning of your next end step. And then down here, it's got very a very interesting additional ability of it, protecting your warrior tokens, make it so that they can't be sacrificed. So they just get to stick around for ages, which would be very interesting to see quite how many you can build up and quite how many of these new kind of red warrior creature tokens exist. And as I said, this is a new ability, new kind of keyword here. So having a look at it, you know, we've got a few different things that can work really well with, like Ishin, obviously, to kind of double those. We've got Elder Arthur Maxon here, who gives all these creature tokens training. Previously, you know, if you have a look at him, they're not going to be great because of the fact that they are going to die. They're not going to take advantage of that 1/1. But this is going to allow you to be able to take advantage of that in further turns because, you know, they wouldn't even get this +1 otherwise because they come in attacking already. So this is going to allow you to kind of build them up really great. But I think the better way to kind of go about it is just look at all these other tokens that have like, you know, sacrifice at the beginning, and then you could use the Maskwood Nexus with it. Or we could have a look at like creating a bunch of different copies of things like, you know, the Master Multiplier or other things that make it so the legend rule doesn't count, and then add in a whole bunch of things to copy our warriors. You know, Master Multiplier is a way that, you know, prevents the sacrificing anyway, but if he gets removed, then now you've got other ways to prevent that sacrificing, as long as you've only created token copies of your warriors and then, you know, not legendary or the legendary rule not mattering. So like stuff like Orthian, we've got Felden, we've got Determined Iteration, which is a great one. We've got Jaxus the Troublemaker. Again, this one actually is a warrior, Jaxus. We've got Kiki Jiki, who can come along and create a token copy of something. All these kinds of other things that have that, you know, sacrifice clause. Now it doesn't matter as long as what it is you're sacrificing, what it is you're copying and cloning, etc., is a warrior. Now, today's video is sponsored by the Devoom and the Pixu64. So this is a really great thing. They've sent one out to me, and I'm kind of using it here to display my view count and my subscribers, just as like a little kind of, you know, pep talk to myself. But you could get it to display so many different things, whether it's the time, whether it's the weather, whether it's, you know, you just want it to be a funny little gift that's sitting on your desk or something like that. I absolutely love it. It's really, really cool. If you guys head on down to the description and click the link, or just use the code TaunaMTG, you're going to be able to get 10% off as long as you've spent a certain amount, and that's going to be, you know, helping support the channel too, and get one of these amazing things for yourself. So next up, we've got Felithor, Dawn of the Abzan. So she has, whenever they enter or attack, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. When you do, put a +1/+1 onto each creature you control. So there's some very interesting things you could make use of this. It's also, you know, she isn't in red, so you're not going to be able to get like that multi-combat or anything like that, unfortunately. But you can still take advantage of it in some very interesting ways, especially because it says non-land permanent. It does not say non-land, non-token permanent. So you can sacrifice tokens with this, which we'll get to in a minute, and it does put that +1 onto each creature you control, which is really cool. So first of all, you know, we've got stuff like Cutsil and stuff that already work really well with that kind of additional power stuff, +1/+1s. Garv, the Guru of Spores, is just made for this because he's going to be able to create those saplings that you can then sacrifice and put +1s onto each thing. We've got stuff like Insidious Roots or Merrin. If we wanted to turn this into like a reanimation stuff, we sacrifice something, then we can, bring it back. And then we've also got that trigger of Insidious Roots putting out +1s onto our plants that then we get additional +1s from our commander and stuff from Falathor. Really insane amount of ways that you're able to kind of take advantage of this to just get a huge board going. We've also got stuff like, Frodo and Sam, where we could add this into a food deck. Now it's, we can sacrifice one of our food tokens and boom, we're going to get the +1 onto all of our creatures, which could be, pretty crazy. Again, unfortunately, it's only that one trigger whenever you attack or whenever they enter the battlefield, but you could still, build up your board kind of slowly. And then, of course, there's so many ways to take advantage of getting a +1s, like, you've got branching evolution, we've got hardened scales, all that kind of stuff that puts additional +1s out onto stuff. There's just, while it does say, put +1 onto all creatures, that's not going to stay as +1. It's going to be up to, put 2 +1/+1s, put 3 +1/+1s. There's so many ways to kind of make that just even bigger, and getting like, repeatable food to be able to take advantage of it, or repeatable, whether you want to sack plant tokens or sack, a creature to then reanimate it with Merrin. Boom. You've got so much stuff you can cook with here. All right, next we've got Eshki Dragonclaw. So she has keyword soup. She's got Vigilance, Trample, and Ward 1. And she has, at the beginning of a combat on your turn, if you've cast both a creature and a non-creature this turn, draw a card and put 2 +1s on Eshki Dragonclaw. So I was thinking about this. And the first kind of thing that came to mind was like Anima, Soul of Elements, and stuff like that. Like just stuff that kind of gives you the advantage of casting more creatures and stuff, which kind of takes advantage of one side of it. And Communal Brewing as well does kind of similar, like, additional draw there, as well as, put the +1s onto it. That's all fine. But what really, really takes advantage of this is Adventures. Oh, once I kind of realized Adventures is just crazy for this, because with Adventures, right, you've got the fact that you've got, this does not need to be a cast from hand, right? Like, this is not a cast from hand as long as it's just as long as you've cast. So if you cast your Adventures, boom, on the adventure side, they're going to sit there. Then you can cast them from the creature side. You can take advantage of casting creatures and adventures over and over again. Because now each creature that you've got in there, or whatever, if you've got other adventures as well, sure, you can just take advantage of it and have your deck with so many different ways to be able to cast both creatures and non-creatures. There's other ways to take advantage of it, obviously, if you want to go artifacts or, more enchantments or something. I just think Adventures is crazy for this. And then you can roll in some of the stuff in here that, takes advantage of the adventures, like Chancellor of Tales here, or the Edgewall Innkeeper. Like, just take advantage of just so many ways to abuse the fact that you're going to be casting both adventures and creatures, and Eshki just goes so hard with both of these. Next up, we've got Kotus the Fangkeeper, and this is the one that I'm kind of a little bit disappointed about. I think you could make an absolutely cracked commander with him, and he's going to go into my deck that I'm working on at the moment, which is, Indominus Rex Alpha, I think it's called. Yeah, I think it's Alpha something. Yeah. He's going to go into that, but he's just kind of another Sultai Theft, right? You can take advantage of it in different ways, but it's still Sultai Theft. So he has, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards, where X is the amount of damage that you dealt. You may cast a spell with mana value X or less without paying its mana cost. So while we can't see part of this, you can basically tell what it is. It says, it fits perfectly in here. This part here is the without paying, and then it loops down to here. We've seen some cards recently that kind of loop down to that part instead of like being blocked off up here, and that's what it seemingly do, especially because this does not end here. There's no full stop there. Sultai Theft, but it's more like, steal once kind of thing, rather than kind of, steal multiple things. And you also get to cast it for cheap. He is only a 2/1, so you obviously want to be able to pump him up and stuff, and there's a bunch of different ways to take advantage of that. Works really well with combat damage triggers, obviously, especially because he's indestructible. People are less likely to kind of block him unless he's kind of built up a little bit. They're more likely to kind of let that trigger through at the start, and then by the time, he's getting that bigger and stuff, then you've got ways to be able to bypass the kind of bypass their creatures, or they just have to eventually kind of throw something underneath. You definitely want to kind of get Death Touch onto him as well. And, just more triggers for dealing combat damage with like Aether Spark and stuff. Oran Force Fang is going to be crazy here because you're going to give him Death Touch. Now he's a Death Touch indestructible. You guys have seen Toski. Once you give Toski Death Touch, no one's blocking him, and then you're getting free cards constantly. And that's kind of what you're going to go for here. I do think that building him up as essentially a Voltron-ish kind of commander would be very interesting. However, then you also do only get that one trigger to cast one thing for free, unless you add in like Felix or something to get that double combat damage trigger there too. We've also got like Ninjutsu. Ninjutsu would be really interesting here because no one's going to really block a 2/1 that's kind of doing a little bit of a trigger, especially because he's indestructible. Once you get him up bigger, then you can use, Ninjutsu to kind of bring a different ninja out or something like that, kind of get your ninjas rolling with your commander early on. Because again, no one's going to block a 2/1 indestructible and throw something under the bus potentially. So you could do some really, really interesting kind of ninjutsu stuff here potentially as well. So I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. And yeah, don't forget to hit that link down below. Save some money on a new Devoom, Pixu 64 or whatever other Devoom product you want to take advantage of. And yeah, display whatever you want. There's some really, really cool stuff you can check out with the app there. Have a great day and goodbye.